Hey guys, it's Cimorelli. Welcome to my second channel. You probably know me from my main channel, Cimorelli, the Abandonment with my sisters. This is my personal channel. It's just my hobby where I talk about my personal life, especially pregnancy and motherhood and now birth. Well, not now, I always did. So let's jump into this video, which is Q&A about my birth experience that I just had with Tristan, who just fell asleep on me. My giant 10-pound baby. No epidural, feedback, vaginal birth after C-section. Let's do it. You guys really asked great questions. I was impressed, so let's jump into them. Okay, first question, how long were you in labor? From the very beginning to the end, it was about 20 hours. The active labor part was only about 3.5, 4 hours. And the early labor part was really long, really long. So I could have really gotten discouraged early on if I wanted to, because I could have been like, it took this long for this and how long am I gonna be here, 100 years? But picked up later on. This is a great question. Did you feel yourself tearing? So I got second-degree tears. There's first, second, third, and fourth-degree tears. Apparently second-degree is very common from my research online. Tearing at all is very, very common. That skin is made to be able to tear and heal. I mean, the rest of your body is able to heal, you know, after whatever, but it's not like, some people talk about like pushing an orange through your nostril or something. Like your nostrils aren't really made to just like tear and then just heal really well, because they're not made to have an orange come out of them. But my body was made to be able to birth a baby, so it's all part of the process. So anyway, I always wondered about tearing. I was always kind of scared of it, but I got less and less scared the more I learned about it, which is great. And I always wondered, how bad would it hurt? How bad would the ring of fire hurt? All that. So I definitely felt the ring of fire, and I said like burning during labor, but it wasn't that bad at all. Like I remember thinking this during labor, I was thinking this is nowhere near as bad as I thought. And I wasn't thinking like, this is torture, I want to die. Like I've had a horrifying toothache. If you had really, really bad tooth pain, you know what I'm talking about? It sounds like, oh, tooth pain, whatever. No, no, no. If you've had it, you know what I'm talking about. I've had a tooth pain worse, where I thought I was going to die, worse than the tearing hurt. I don't think it actually hurt that much. I didn't know I was tearing at all. I had no idea. I'm like, did I tear? I have no idea. Could not feel a thing of that. I just felt like some burning. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was intense. I'm not saying it was great, but it wasn't that bad. It wasn't, I'm suffering, I want to die. It wasn't that at all. How long did you push for? I think it was like 20 minutes-ish. My doula was saying somewhere around there. We weren't exactly sure. It was kind of confusing because I was like pushing for a while before, a couple hours before. I would just like push a little bit and then push a little bit, but it wasn't like the pushing time where the midwife and the nurses like came in and set up and were like ready to get the baby. So yeah, I guess it was like 20 minutes. It wasn't bad at all. And it was like, I couldn't believe it was happening. I'm like, wait, already? What? Already? Even though it was like almost like 20 hours in, I was like, what? I'm pushing already? This is happening right now? Would you do an unmedicated birth again? Would you do a home birth? Yes, I definitely want another unmedicated birth, and another and however many, definitely. I look forward to hopefully being a little more peaceful next time, because I won't be so scared of like, what's coming next? I was so terrified of like, how bad is this gonna get? What's coming next? How bad is this gonna be? Blah, blah, because I just heard so many horror stories. And like when I think of birth, I would think worst pain you're ever gonna feel in your life. Most like horrible suffering experience you could ever experience. How could women have to go through this horrible thing? And that wasn't my experience. It was very challenging. It was very challenging. There was pain. It was, don't get me wrong, it was very, very difficult, okay? It tested me. It tested me, but it was empowering, and I feel amazing that I went through it. And I want to go through it again and again. Home birth, I don't know. I think I'd feel more comfortable doing that if I was closer to a hospital. I'm pretty far away, so I don't really know. Definitely not my next one. I would not be planning that for my next one. How did you help Nick prepare to help you in birth? I educated him in all the things I was learning, so he knew a lot, and then we watched a lot of videos together, and he watched parts of my courses with me, especially parts where it was like, have your partner watch this. I do mention all the courses I took in my like what helped me get this birth video, like what helped me be able to do this. That video is either come out right before or right after this video. So I have the courses linked there, I think, and I talked about them all in there. But yeah, he just knew a lot. He was very educated, and he learned from the courses as well. And I do think that was a major key, him having a clue. I do think if your partner is like really stressed out and like anxious and all that, I think that can really negatively affect the birth experience from what I've heard. In what ways was having a doula helpful? Oh my gosh. Well, it was like having this person there who's like, I know what to do, basically. Like, she's been through this so many times and she's just there specifically focused on me. It was like a security blanket kind of, and like having this expert who's like, oh, we could try this, we could try that, and who's like supporting Nick, making him feel more confident as well. It was just, I can't recommend her enough. Like, oh my gosh, so life-changing. She came in and like everything changed when she came in. It was like amazing. I am so grateful for my doula. Oh my gosh, she was amazing. So it just helped me feel confident. She had all these like tips and tricks up her sleeve and tools and different things to do, and she was in her right mind. Well, I'm not in my right mind. She'd be like, oh, try this, try that, things I might have thought to try if I was in my right mind. And she knew my wishes beforehand. We talk about everything, and she's there to like help, basically to help be your right mind, but also like an expert version of your right mind. Was there anything you thought would happen during labor that didn't? Yes. I thought I would end up like screaming out some crazy thing like I always hear people doing. I was honestly kind of disappointed that I didn't say anything crazy at all. And I think I thought it was gonna hurt more. Don't get me wrong, I am not saying it was all like so easy. I'm not saying that at all. But I thought it was gonna be worse. I thought it was gonna be more suffering, more pain, and just, I thought it was gonna be, I don't know, I just heard so many stories. So I thought it was gonna be worse, a lot worse. So that's good. Well, it's not good. I wish I didn't have to think that. I didn't have to overcome all of those negative thoughts. I wish people wouldn't put that stuff out there. Like, I wish they could just say like, oh yeah, it was really difficult for me, but you know, everyone's birth is different and unique to them, so yours might not be worst pain you've ever felt. Could or could not. Doesn't have to be suffering. Could be, could not. I don't know. No one's gonna say that, but yeah, I wish we could have a bad experience, but then still not try to scare the crap out of everyone else. Like with my C-section, it was really horrible, but I'm aware that plenty of women have good healing C-section experiences. So I don't think every woman, and I know everyone's not gonna have the experience I had, and it's not gonna be that bad for everyone. Some are gonna be worse, some are gonna be way better. I think most are gonna be better. I don't need to sit here and be like, everyone needs to be scared of having a C-section. It's gonna ruin your life. It's interesting, women don't really do that about C-sections, but they do that with vaginal births. They'll like try to scare the living daylights out of someone, but they won't try to scare them about a C-section, which you shouldn't be trying to scare them about anything. Interesting. Any tears? Yeah, I got 2nd degree tearing. I'm almost 4 weeks postpartum right now, and it's healing pretty well. Well, I guess it's healing really well. I went to the doctor today and he said it was healing great. It's kind of annoying, the healing process, but it's still way better than my C-section process. So I am very grateful. But yeah, it's 10-pound baby, okay? She was big. So what do you expect? How long did it take you to recover after birth? I'm gonna do a whole postpartum video later because I'm only, like I said, almost 4 weeks. The first week was really rough. I felt great everywhere except my tearing and my pelvic floor in general, but I did feel really great everywhere else and mentally. So, I mean, for what that's worth, my core felt amazing, which is like, what? Everything felt really great, except my pelvic floor. First week was rough. 2nd week was rough as well, but I started to feel a little better around 2 weeks, but I still couldn't really sit that well or walk that well. I had to do a lot of laying down for the first 2 weeks. 3rd week was a lot better, and now that I'm almost at 4 weeks, I'm feeling a lot better. I can sit now, which sitting is so underrated, or maybe it's not. I didn't realize how much I love sitting and want to be able to sit and not just lay. So I'm feeling a lot better now, but I mean, walking, it's like really heavy and definitely not there at all yet. I'm going to pelvic floor physical therapy, which I was going to do anyway, and I'll be curious to see what she says. I will talk about that in my postpartum recovery video, and I'll do like postpartum fitness journey as well because I'm so excited. Did you debate having another C-section? No, I didn't think about it once at all. I was hoping and am hoping to never have another C-section again. We'll see if that's what happens, but I hope to never have one again and to only have vaginal births moving forward. Okay, this one says how to have the willpower to not have the epidural even though it's an option. I mean, I think you need to know if you really want it or if you really don't want it, and why you want it or why you don't want it. And you really need to do your research and understand the risks, the benefits, blah, blah, blah. And it is hard to know because people react to it differently. Some people, it really slows down labor. Others are able to relax and it speeds it up. And then some people think it hindered them in pushing and how that went, and others it doesn't. Some people get like permanent, it's not a lot of people, but some people do get permanent like side effects from it, like damage their back and whatnot, and I guess headaches, stuff like that. It's apparently that's a smaller percentage though, and a lot of people don't get that. Sometimes it doesn't work for people, or it only works on one side, and they didn't prepare to not have it. So then you're kind of really screwed because you didn't prepare for unmedicated birth, and then you're basically having it. So I think for me, I knew the reasons why I didn't want it, which was, I feel like I can't even think of all of them right now. I did a post on Instagram. Maybe I can just post that here and you can read that. But I really was interested in, someone commented this on one of the videos, physiological birth was really the word I was looking for. Physiological birth. I wanted to not hinder the physiological process my body was going to go through. I wanted to know what was that like if I didn't really interfere with it medically. And I wanted to like let my body have its best chance to just go for it physiologically. So that was a big reason. And I thought that would give me the best chance at having a vaginal birth. I was scared of like her getting stuck or something happening, so that would cause me to have a C-section, and I really didn't want one, as we know, because I want to have more kids and I want to have them vaginally, and having too many C-sections can be like dangerous for different reasons. It adds risks. There are risks to consider for everything, even if your doctor doesn't tell you, which is weird. But yeah, there are risks with everything, so you need to look up the risks of an epidural and understand what those are, what you're signing up for, and if you're comfortable with that beforehand. And if you are, then you go for it confidently. You made your decision, you're informed, that's great. You should be informed for everything you do. And if you're not comfortable with that, then you have a strong reason there why you're not comfortable with it and you don't want to go for it. I do think the epidural is a tool that can be used well in birth. I'm not like you should never use it ever. I don't think that. But for me, I had an idea of like when I would use it, and I was thinking if I was completely losing it mentally and I just totally lost my mind and I was like suffering and dying and feeling like I can't do this, I'm gonna die, whatever, then I was gonna consider it. And I never got to that point, so I did not consider it. If I didn't do all the prep though that I did, I think I would have considered it more, because I was considering it at one point, kind of, which I'll talk about from one of the questions you guys asked. What did you do physically to prepare for your VBAC? I have made multiple videos on this, so I'm gonna link below. I talked about exercise, and then I made a video of everything I did to prepare, and then I made a video of what helped the most during labor. So that's all in a video. It's way too long for me to get into now. Watch that video. Okay, great question. Which centimeter or hour of birth did you find the most challenging, and why? Okay, so there was like a couple times I found the most challenging, and it was around either 2 or 3 centimeters and then like 4 or 5 centimeters. So that range, which was like the hour, that would be like, I don't know, 12, 13 hours in, and then like 14 or 15 or 16, 14 or 15 hours in. So it was all early labor, or like the middle, the later part of early labor stuff, where I started to be like, can I do this? And before I went to the hospital, when I went to the hospital, I was only 3 centimeters. And that was like 13 hours in at that point, or 14, I don't remember. And before I went to the hospital, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this at an epidural. I'm not feeling so good, and it's just gonna get way worse than this. Like, how am I gonna handle this? How much worse is it gonna get? How scary / bad is pushing gonna be? How scary / bad is transition gonna be? Which, by the way, I didn't even notice transition. Like, I didn't notice like I'm in transition, I want to give up, that whole thing. I didn't even notice it. It just like all blurred together. I thought I was gonna notice like, oh, I'm in transition. That never happened to me, so that was kind of weird. But anyway, I was questioning getting the epidural before I went to the hospital, and then at the hospital when I was 3, 4, 5 centimeters in that time, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle this. I think especially at 5, maybe that was the hardest. At 5-ish, before my doula got there, she got there when I was at 6 or almost at 6. That was the hardest part. I was like, I don't think I can do this. That was when I was like, I don't think I can do this. This is really difficult. I don't think I can do this. This is really hard. I feel like I just want to, I just want to rest. I'm so tired and this is scary. It's scaring me. I just want to rest. But then when she got there, it stopped being so scary. And when I used the nitrous, I stopped being so tired because I stopped being so stressed in between, and I could lay on the peanut ball. And yeah, that's when it got a lot better. So yeah, it was the middle time was the hardest, not the later time. Weird, right? I didn't think about the epidural at all. After like 6 centimeters on, I didn't think about it at all. Isn't that weird? Were you pressured to follow any hospital procedures you didn't want to? No. There was nothing like, yeah, nothing, no pressure, nothing bad at all at the hospital. I had an amazing hospital experience. I'm so grateful. I had such a good experience. They were very hands-off. They just let me do my thing and it was awesome. No pressure. Do you still consider a natural birth despite using nitrous? I don't know. I haven't really thought about like a label. It doesn't really matter to me much, but I think it's an interesting question. So I'm thinking of like physiological birth and not interfering with the physiological process of my body. And according to my research, nitrous does not interfere with that. So I would consider it totally physiological birth. The nitrous was for like anxiety really. So I don't know. I guess it's not natural though, because it's not just like a natural thing to just have that. So I wouldn't consider that fully natural. I'd be like somewhat natural, but I mean, yeah, I don't really think it matters that much, but it's an interesting question to ask. But yeah, my main concern was physiological. I wanted to be able to experience that process and let my body just like go for it, kind of, if that makes sense. On a scale of 1 to 10, how did it feel when you got your VBAC? Okay, once it happened, I was just kind of like, I did it, oh my gosh. It didn't really like, I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel like a euphoric feeling until as soon as I found out she was 10 pounds. Then I was like, oh my gosh, I birthed a 10-pound baby. Then I was just like, holy crap. Then I felt like a 10 out of 10. I couldn't believe it because that's something that you hear is like impossible. Like, oh, you got to get a C-section. Your baby's going to be 9 pounds. You know, stuff like that. So it felt like I had done something that was supposed to be impossible. I mean, having a VBAC, not having an epidural, and having a 10-pound baby. It felt like I did the impossible, which it's not impossible. It's totally possible. It wasn't even something that like stretched me to every limit that I had, you know? It was very hard. Don't get me wrong. It was very challenging, but it was very possible. What do you think helped you get through the contractions in the Ring of Fire? So I made a whole video on this, linked below, of like what helped me, and we definitely watched that. But it was my mind. I had to like try to believe that I could do it. I kind of didn't believe I could do it just from all the negativity that I'd heard going into this, unfortunately. And that's really sad. But I was like fighting that belief that I couldn't do it. I'm like, you can do this. The Ring of Fire, it didn't take anything to get through it. I just knew it was gonna be over soon because it couldn't last that long, I was thinking at least. And it wasn't like the most unbearable pain ever. It was just burning and it was intense. But I wasn't like, this is the worst thing I've ever felt. It wasn't the worst. Did Nick cut the umbilical cord? I talk about this in the birth story videos. You should watch that. But yes, he caught her and he cut it. Really cute. Really cool that he did that. Like really, really cool. He said she was slippery, I think. Do you see any difference in your postpartum mood between her and with Barrett? Yeah, the biggest difference. I was so depressed and anxious with Barrett, partly because it was my first time and it was so new and I had no idea like if I was doing anything right or like if I was screwing everything up, and I don't know, I was so anxious. And then also because it was a traumatic birth, so that really messed me up and really hurt mentally. I mean, I would burst into tears thinking about it for a year following the birth, and it was really rough. I really healed a lot on the year anniversary when I burst into tears and realized like how much I was still healing. But yeah, it was really traumatic. This has been such a better experience. It's definitely very challenging, very difficult, but I feel way better. I feel so much better mentally. Like with Barrett, I talked about this in a different video. That first night, I stayed up and didn't sleep at all in the hospital and just stared at him. He was in the NICU. I was like staring at him on my phone. There was like a video thing I could look at. And I just like so anxious and like, and didn't sleep. With her, I didn't sleep the first night because I was so happy and excited. So very different. In the middle of labor, did you ever doubt your power? Interesting way of phrasing that. Yes, I did. That's what I was talking about. I absolutely doubted myself, which sucks. Don't doubt yourself. I mean, don't doubt yourself. You can totally do this. And if you doubt yourself, you're making it less likely that you'll feel like you can do it. So I know it's really hard to find the confidence, the audacity to have the confidence, because it's like sometimes people almost like put you down, like almost like, oh, you think you're better than other women who use the epidural, like you think you're that great that you cannot use it or something. I don't know, kind of weird. But no, anyone can give birth without it. It's just a matter of like how good or bad will the experience be based on a lot of factors, but especially your mind. So I definitely doubted myself, and I leaned on God. That's about it. How would you describe the pain? That's an interesting question. Okay, it wasn't that much like period pain to me, kind of in the beginning, but not really. But I don't have painful periods at all. Like I've only barely had pain in my periods, so it was not that much like that. It was kind of like that, but it was different. I don't know how to describe it. It was just this intensity like taking over. I really don't know how to describe it. I don't even know where it hurt. I wish I had thought about it more in the moment, because now that I'm trying to recall it, I'm like, where did it hurt? I mean, I could feel like my cervix, I felt like. I don't know how to describe it. But once again, I wouldn't describe it as worst thing in the world that I've ever felt, horrifying, suffering. I wouldn't describe it as that, but it was intense. I know it's more painful than any other pain, but is it bearable? Did you feel like you were dying? I kind of already touched on this. It's bearable. I did not feel like I was dying. In the middle, I kind of, for a second, was like, is it gonna feel like I'm dying? That's what I was wondering. But it did not. Praise the Lord. It was very challenging though, I gotta tell you. Which birth was easier? So, I mean, I was asleep for Barrett's C-section, so yeah. But I still think it was harder than this. Just because, I guess it's really the recovery of it, so I wouldn't call it that. Okay, so it's not that. But the whole experience of the C-section was harder for me than the experience of this birth. It was just really painful and shocking and just bad for me. So this went a lot better. But like I said, not every C-section is going to be horrible. Don't be scared if you have to get one. What was the most challenging part postpartum this time? Physically. You said physically. The fact that I couldn't really sit or walk very well. See, with the C-section, I couldn't lay down very easily. This time, or use my abs at all, I couldn't sit, and it was really painful, and that sucked. Sitting is important. Has the recovery from tearing put you off from another vaginal birth? Nope. And apparently, subsequent births are generally easier than the first one, as far as recovery goes, my doctor says, so that would be nice. Expectation versus reality on pushing. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be 100 million times worse than it was, and I thought it was gonna take a lot longer than it did. It wasn't that bad. It did feel kind of like a relief. I remembered women saying that in the moment. I was like, I remember women saying it feels like a relief, and it does. So I kept telling myself, it feels like a relief. I kept like almost trying to brainwash myself that it felt like a relief. What was your first thought when you saw your baby? My first thought was, she has black hair? What? I was shocked that her hair was so dark. And she, oh, it has a sad face. Oh, you have such a sad face. I was really shocked by her hair. And then I was just like, I can't believe this is my child. I cannot believe it. Insane. All right, that's all your guys' questions. Thank you so much. You asked some great questions. Let me know what other videos you want me to do, because I'll do as many videos as you want me to about the whole like postpartum experience, birth experience, blah, 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 everything. Because I spent so long preparing for this moment, and it happened, and I'm so happy. So yeah, I'll talk about everything. Let me know what you want to know, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.